วัสดีค่ะ
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me once again. It's video time from Thailand Bound again. If you haven't been here, my name's Peter and this channel is called Thailand Bound. And today I'm going to give you 18 reasons why other than financial support and assistance, you'll never be important to a Thai bar girl or go-go dancer, or perhaps even a girl who works in a massage. I am going to end on a positive note. I like to end on a positive note, and I'm going to be reading out something somebody sent to me, which I think is fairly positive. For the few guys out there who normally leave comments who'll say, but hang on a minute, I married a Thai bar girl, we've been together 25 years and we've had 2 children, we're really happy. I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible not to have a relationship with a girl who works in a bar or a go-go bar, somebody you meet here in Thailand, but for the most part, I'm going to give you 18 reasons why it's probably not going to work and you're not going to be important or as important to her as you think you are because of these 18 reasons. Okay, so let's kick off with my list straight in at number 1, and I've made notes, but I will talk about each note as I go through them. So number 1, they're trapped and resigned to their fate at being the breadwinner for the entire family. So most of these girls, especially the girls who come from the poorer regions of Thailand, in the north, east and etc., they are seen as the main money machine of the family. You know what? The rural farmers, they're very, very poor, a lot of them, and the girl with her looks, she can come down to Bangkok or Pattaya, and she can make a lot of money with drinks and going with clients, and it's just something in the poorer culture here in Thailand that the girl will choose to work in a bar or a go-go club rather than being unemployed or work in a factory on 300 baht a day. Number 2, they're not looking for love only to get by. And just like in point number 1, it's about money again. It's easier to lie to yourself and others when you believe the lie. So if the girl's constantly lying, constantly telling guys, I love you, and various lies, the more she tells these lies, the more she's going to believe it. And the more she believes it, the more easier it's going to be for her to tell these lies. Number 3, a knight in shining armor can't carry the entire family on the horse, so lose that idea. Now, I've met a number of guys, and I'm sure if you come to Thailand, especially in a resort town like Pattaya, you get these guys, there's certain guys who try to talk girls out of what they're doing. We call them white knights. Now, most of these girls, they choose to work in the bars because of poverty, okay? I get comments left, and you read comments on other YouTube channels about people trafficking and forced into this situation. Now, again, I'm not saying this never happens, but for the most part, I would say 99% of these girls, they choose to work in these bars and go-go clubs because they can make really good money for their families. It's all about their families. And a typical salary of a non-skilled, a non-educated worker in a factory, a waitress, something like that, they're earning about 300 baht a day. Now, you calculate that. If she's the only breadwinner in the family, there's no, maybe she had a boyfriend or a husband who's run off and left her destitute, there's no real welfare system here, then they choose to work in the bars because of that reason. It's all about the money. And you going along and trying to talk her out of it, telling her morally it's wrong and you think she's a great girl and she should, go to church every week and do this and do that. Maybe not the church part, but you're never going to change how she thinks. So don't try and be a white knight. You're not going to change them. Number 4, she loves me because I'm older, more mature and settled. Now, there is some truth to that. I've spoken to bar girls, I'm getting on a bit now, but when I was younger, I used to hang out in places like Nana Plaza and the beer bars in Pattaya. And a lot of the girls will tell you, even when I was younger, they would tell me this, they do prefer having relationships with older guys. It's not to say they find them more handsome or more fun than young guys. Of course, they probably like to have younger guys as boyfriends, but it's all about financial support again. And what the girls will tell you is with the older guys, most of them are, they're coming up for retirement or they're already retired. They've made their money. Maybe they've closed down their business, and financially they're very stable, and that's what the girls are looking for. They're not looking for somebody who just wants to party every night and they've got money this week but they don't have nothing next week. They want that stability. They want that cash to flow in every month so that they can send it up to their families and their families are taken care of then. Number 5, looking to trade up always. If a guy comes along with more, she will test the water, and when she gets her hooks in him, when she feels secure enough, you get dumped, no emotion, no feeling. So you could be in a relationship with a bar girl, go-go dancer, and you feel it's all going well. You've been with her maybe 6 months, you're giving her a little bit of money to send to her family every month, and everything seems to be on the up and up, and everybody's happy. Now, If another guy comes along and she gets him in her sights and he appears to be more wealthy, she is going to flirt and try and get her hooks into him. And what's going to happen is, if she thinks that guy's interested, she will go behind your back and date that guy. And if there's any possibility that that guy, this new guy who's wealthier, is interested in her as a long-time girlfriend, there is no emotion. You'll be dumped. There'll be no excuses. You can't give it all the, but what about this? And I've done that for you and I took care of you. She's not interested. He's got more money than you. He's interested in making her his girlfriend. She's going to be financially better off, more stable. You're gone. That's it. End of story. Move on. Okay, you're just one of many. Many girls in the bar scene maintain multiple boyfriends or sponsors, both in Thailand and abroad. You might be one of several men she's keeping on the hook for financial support. Again, you could be in a relationship with a girl. This is mainly for, mostly I should say, for guys who are in long-term relationships with girls, Thai girls who work in the entertainment industry who don't reside in Thailand full-time. It's hard enough living here full-time to have a relationship, a lot of the time, not all the time. And what the girl will do, if you're sending her money each month but you're not living here, she's going to try and reel in a few sponsors, because obviously if she can get half a dozen guys sending her 10,000, 20,000 baht a month, then that's going to become big money. Her family can move up the social scale, as it were, buy a nice big 4x4, scooters for the whole family, and you know, the gold and everything else that goes with it. Number 7, work comes first. Her job is about entertaining men, and she sees it as a business. Even if she has feelings for you, she won't prioritize you over making money from customers. And again, it's all about the money. So even if the girl really likes you, you're going to be second place. You're always going to be second place to cash and gold. That's what she's looking for. She's looking for that new mobile phone. She's looking for gifts of gold. She's looking for cash. And even though she has some feelings for you, you won't be priority to her. It will be the cash. She's emotionally detached. After years in the nightlife industry, many bar girls develop emotional detachment as a survival mechanism. This means even if she acts like she loves you, deep down, you may be just another man. So imagine you go to work, there's a skilled job you go for. The first day, you mess it up. The second day, you get to grips with it slightly. After a month, you're an expert. It's the same with girls who work in the bar. They are groomed by their peers. They're taught, rather, by their peers what they should say, what they should do, what questions to ask. Eventually, they learn to speak English. And the longer they work in those bars, they just become detached of all emotion. You're just another mark, you know, another client, as it were. She's already had hundreds. She knows what she's going to say. She knows almost all of the time what you're going to say back to her. Okay, so you know, you're not going to be different to anybody else. Number 9, she has a Thai boyfriend or a husband. Many bar girls have Thai boyfriends or even husbands, often hidden from men. If she has one, he will always be her real priority. So something that's very, very normal in Thailand, and I've seen this over the years, a lot of the girls who work in places like Nana Plaza and Soy Cowboy, if you sit at the front at night, you'll see a lot of them getting dropped off with young guys about their age on motorcycles, scooters, and they're not all motorbike taxis. You can always distinguish the motorcycle taxis because they wear a vest with, you know, an luminous vest with a number on the back. And but you'll see a lot of guys, younger guys, about the same age as them, and they're dropping these girls off. And a lot of them are husbands and boyfriends. Now, I don't know how the relationship works with Thais knowing what she does. Maybe a lot of the time the Thai girl can say, well, I sit with customers and I have drinks. I don't know. It seems a bit naive to only believe that. But even if you're a serious boyfriend, a lot of the time they will have a Thai boyfriend in the background. And there has been many, many cases. You've heard stories on my channel as well as other YouTube channels about guys who've gone on a date with a girl and she's brought along a guy of her own age and she's introduced the guy as her brother. So that the poor guy sat there, he's paid the bill for her and a boyfriend or a husband, not knowing anything, and all the time it's her boyfriend and not her brother. This is very, very normal. And when we're talking about working girls, of course, girls who work in bars, massage parlors, go-go clubs, any entertainment, it wouldn't be fair to tar all Thai girls with the same brush. Thai girls are like any other girls around the world, very, very decent. I know guys who have relationships with girls who work regular jobs, and they wouldn't be seen dead in places like Nana Plaza, okay? So we're not talking about generally all Thai girls. We're talking about girls who work in the entertainment business. And while we're on that point, I might just say I'm not trying to run down these girls or disrespect them in any way. I suppose if I was a girl of 20, I was in their position, then I'd probably want to do the same to look after my family. Most of the girls that you meet in these bars, they're very pleasant. They can be a lot of fun, and they're fun to hang around. You know, they're actually nice people, most of them. But unfortunately, you know, you've got to get to grips, and you know, you can live the lie, enjoy the lie, but don't believe the lie. You know, that's a great saying here in Thailand. Okay, let's carry on with this list. Number 10, we're over halfway through now. Cultural and language barriers. She may not fully understand or connect with your emotional needs. Even if you expect a deep emotional connection, you might not get it. So again, coming from the West, you want this loving relationship with her. She might, as we mentioned earlier, be detached from all that a long time ago. But she realizes, she's clever enough to realize that you want something out of the relationship, like you want love and emotion, and she's going to try and put on a bit of an act and give you what you want. But it's very, very hard for her to do that genuinely, I should say. Number 11, she sees you as a walking ATM machine. That's a very common saying here in Thailand. The guy's an ATM machine. Okay, even if she calls you her boyfriend, she might only see you as a source of money. Once the money stops, so does her affection. So she's your girlfriend. You look at her as a girlfriend like you would in the West. You're financially supporting her. You kind of got this feeling like, okay, well, if I'm down on my luck and I don't have any money, I'm sure my girlfriend will stay with me. She won't. 99% of the time, she won't. Why? Not because she doesn't have feelings for you. Some of them will have feelings for you. But again, it's going back to family and money. She has to have that money machine rolling all the time so that she can support her poor family. And even if it's not for that, you know, she's going to continue the good life. She doesn't want to go back to poverty once she's had a taste of the good life. Number 12. She doesn't trust foreign men. Many bar girls have been lied to, used and abandoned by foreigners in the past. Because of this, she might not take you seriously, even if you're genuinely in love with her. And that's a really good point. I made a video about 18 months ago about a bar girl who actually she worked in Pattaya for about 20 years, and she actually did fall in love with a guy, and she went back to England. But one of the points that she said, when I made that video, one of the points that she explained in that video when she was working in the bars in Pattaya, she couldn't understand why guys would lie. They'd say, "Look, I'll see you later. I'll come back and bar find you later." She said, "Look, we've had a drink, we've had a good time. Why can't they just say, you know, bye? I might see you another time. Why do they have to lie?" And this is how these girls think. They've heard the lie so many times. You know, the guy will say, "Yeah, you know, I've got feelings for you." Maybe the guy will date her for a week, then get bored with her and dump her. That must have happened to her, you know, quite a few times. So whenever a foreigner tells us something, it's in one ear and out the other for obvious reasons. You know, it's going to take a long time before she knows you're sincere and you mean what you say. Okay. Number 14, she lives in a different reality. Her world is full of fast money, late nights, and constant male attention. A serious relationship with one man might feel boring or unrealistic. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story that I've heard firsthand, and I know to be true. It's not hearsay. I haven't watched it on another YouTube channel. I've actually experienced it. Now, I know a guy in Bangkok, which I will keep anonymous. He fell in love with a girl who worked in Nana Plaza. She was quite a bit younger than him. He was fairly well off. He wasn't poor. I wouldn't say he was rich, but he was doing okay. And he just fell for this girl, and he started bar finding her every night. And eventually she moved in with him. He bought her a lot of nice gifts, you know, some gold, and paid money to her family and her mother and everything. And they were together for about 9 months, 8 months, something like that. One day she turned around to him. She said, "Look, I'm bored. I want to go back to my bar." Now, he couldn't understand it because, you know, he'd looked after her. He'd financially looked after her. Emotionally looked after her. She was living with him. She had no worries about bills. Even her mother was getting taken care of, and siblings and everything. But she was just bored. She tried it for 8 or 9 months. She's a young girl. She wanted to be with her friends. She wanted to party and she wanted to drink. So although you're getting on in life and you just want to settle down and have a quieter life, you know, you're with a person who isn't thinking like that. So, you know, she wanted to go back to the action, as it were. Number 15, she can replace you easily. In tourist areas like Pattaya, Bangkok and Phuket, there's always a new wave of foreign men arriving. If you leave or stop providing what she wants, she knows another man will take your place. At the end of the day, relationships with bar girls are transactional. If you're looking for real love, it's important to be aware of the reality of these relationships and not fall into an emotional trap. Now, this is what I want to talk about at the end of these 18 points. So I'll skip past this. There's enough explanation in that point without me adding add into it, but we'll talk about that at the end, okay? Number 16, she's more loyal to her friends and colleagues. Many bar girls have tight-knit friendships with other girls in the industry. They often listen to their friends' advice more than the foreign boyfriends, especially when it comes to relationship. So Thai bar girls are pack animals, okay? They don't do on their own. A lot of the times relationships have been successful here in Thailand, and the guy's taken the girl back to his country. Now remember, we're talking about bar girls again. The guy's had a fairly successful relationship. In other words, she stayed with him in his apartment maybe for 6 months or a year. He's decided, okay, this is getting serious. I've got to go back to the UK or wherever he comes from. And he decides to take the girl who was a bar girl and is now his girlfriend back to his own country. That's when it all goes wrong. The reason being, they don't do by themselves, okay? The Thai society, and especially in those bars, they're very almost like a small family. You know, they need the company of each other. And what you'll see typically in small bars around Pattaya, it's a good example, is these girls, a lot of the girls will come to work about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a ritual. The first thing they'll do is one or two of them will go out, buy a load of food from the street vendors, and they'll sit on a mat on the floor in a big circle, and they'll eat the food together. They'll discuss last night's customers, what they're hoping for today. The makeup goes on, and they're just a whole pack together. Now, when you remove one of those girls out of that environment, she's not going to be happy. She's just not going to be happy. And if you think you can take her out of that environment and have a one-on-one and she's going to be happy, it's just not going to work. Honestly, believe me, guys. Okay, number 17, she's already planning her next move. She might be using you as a stepping stone for something bigger, finding a richer foreigner, getting a visa to another country, or just securing financial stability. So this is something I don't need to talk about too much because we discussed this earlier on in one of the earlier points, and it is what it is. She's with you, she's making some money with you, she's having a relationship that you're happy with, but she's always scanning the horizon for more money. And if that wealthier person comes along, then there's a good possibility you might lose her to bigger money. Okay, right, number 18, last on the list, and then we'll discuss something that was sent to me. Number 18, she resents foreigners who try to save her. It's the old white knight syndrome again. Some bar girls hate it when foreign men try to take them out of the industry. They see it as interference in their independence and might even view this as controlling. And this is especially true with younger girls, you know, girls who have maybe worked in the bar for a year. They're actually enjoying it. Don't forget, they come from very quiet, poor farming communities a lot of the time, where life is very, very slow paced, early to bed because there's nothing to do, up at the crack of dawn, maybe helping out on the farm. And suddenly here's this young girl of maybe 22, 23. She's in the middle of this vibrant night place. All the girls around her are doing exactly the same as her, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. She's making big money. She's drinking every night. She's on stage dancing and partying. You know, you're not going to talk her out of that. If she's new, especially fairly new, when I say new to the scene, maybe a year, 2 years, maybe a girl who's worked for 20 years, she's getting tired and she wants to move on, and that's a possibility, but certainly not a girl who's only been around for a year or two, okay? So that's my 18 points. I don't wish to be negative, but the reality has to be, you have to realise reality. Now, I'm going to finish on a fairly positive note. Now, a guy sent me in a story, just coincidentally this morning, that I'm going to be reading out in probably about a month's time, because I'm quite backed up with, I've got some recorded stories ready for each week. I'm going away next week for 4 days, so I wanted to make sure the stories were all, you know, they were all prepared, ready, so I didn't miss out, as it were. And he sent me a story about him and his girlfriend, which was transactional, which I'm not going to talk about now because I'm going to make it into one of the stories, the Saturday morning stories. But I will just read something, I've printed out something here from the beginning of his story, which is quite true, and I think I'll discuss this a little bit as well. So, he's written, when you're in your 20s, 30s, or even early 40s, you should have sufficient charm, wit, intelligence, and good looks to attract a mate without having to hand over any cash. But when you are in your 50s or 60s, you're much less likely to be a babe magnet, and that's when a transactional relationship with a Thai lady may be the right solution for you. Oh, and when the Thai girl stops calling you handsome man and starts calling you papa, then a transactional relationship is most definitely all you're going to get. So he's, in his story, I kind of get what he was talking about. And this might be something for you to think of. If you're an older guy, you're in your 50 up, 50, 60, 65. Now, when you go around the bars and you're buying drinks and ringing the bell, every girl is going to call you handsome man. The bigger your wallet is, the more handsome you're going to become, right? When you run out of money, you'll suddenly not be that handsome man. But all joking aside, there's guys who come out here, who retire out here around my age, and they're looking for a relationship. Now, they realise they're not going to be able to pick up girls in malls, regular girls. They don't go to nightclubs, and they don't want to be on their own. They don't want to be lonely. And they just face the fact and think, you know what? I know it's transactional. I know I'm going to pay. But they try to find a girl who's going to play the game straight, and he will look after them. And what this guy was saying is sometimes that's not a bad arrangement if you're a guy who doesn't want to be on his own. And what he said in his story, without giving too much away, what he said in his story, when he wanted to find a girl to have a relationship, and he realised he was kind of old, and you know he needed to give the girl something in return. She wasn't going to just be attracted by looks alone. What he decided to do was as he put it, interview several girls. So he'd take girls out of the bar, he'd take them for dinner, have a drink with them, and just see how they behaved, how their behaviour was. And you know, he said some of them were. He'd know straight away they were either immature or they were making up stories about, you know, having to send 50,000 up country because they have a sick grandmother, or, you know, just these silly stories that we all know now are true. It used to be the old sick buffalo story you don't hear about so often now. So he'd interview these girls, and eventually he found one that she came across as genuine. And bearing in mind these points that I read out, he's not stupid. He understands all this, but he wanted somebody who was going to, as I put it, play the game. So he was going to look after her. He wanted a relationship, somebody who could put on the back of his scooter, take on holidays, go to the beach with, maybe the islands, but somebody who was not going to be messing about with guys behind his back. When he was, as he put it, when he was with the girl having dinner, he didn't want to be sitting there with somebody who was, as soon as he went to the toilet, she was handing out her line info to the guy on the next table. Okay, and that's going to be a really interesting story, and that can work. So without being, you know, too negative, as I say, that can work. If you come here and you're a guy, you're looking for a relationship, and you're not thinking in a stupid way like these points, you know, like, oh no, that's not true, that wouldn't happen to me. If you can think in a sensible way and think to yourself, okay, well, I've got something to offer the girl, she can look after her family, you know, I'm not poor, but I want somebody who's going to give me genuine love, or at least on the surface of it, and she's not going to be handing out her line ID to other guys. Perhaps that's the way to go. Okay, I'd be really interested to hear your comments. Anything, I will reply to all of them. And all I can say, thanks for listening. I hope you found this video interesting. And again, for the guys, if you're one of those guys who did meet a bar girl or a go-go dancer and you've been living with her for 20 years and you've had a good life, congratulations, well done to you. But it's not the norm, you know. It's you're very, very lucky. It doesn't often happen. Thanks for listening to me again, guys, and I'll catch you soon with another video.